Okay, part 5, metalwork. You're going to start out with a piece of sheet metal. I picked this up at the hardware store. It's a 22 gauge steel. And you're going to cut a bunch of little squares into it. They'll draw them out. Big squares got to be 3/4 of an inch by 1/2 inch. And the smaller squares or rectangles should be 1/4 inch by 3/4 of an inch. Now you can cut these off with a hacksaw, but if you do, make a little notch there for bending later. The notch is super important. Yeah, there, I cut that one with the hacksaw. And now I've got to bend it off with the pliers. This way sucks. It really sucks. I actually used a Dremel for the rest of the cutting. And you can kind of see that score line that I made with the Dremel as well. That really comes in handy later when you're bending the tabs off. You don't need pliers, you can just do it with your fingers. I didn't think it'd be that easy, which is why I'm using the pliers. But it is that easy. Anyway, you're going to need 4 of each of these per hand. Next thing, background change. Now each one of these is for a finger. And now we're going to bend a little J shape. Now make sure your pliers are square to the piece. Now the pliers are at an angle, so make sure that angle is squared up with the rest of the piece. And just kind of curve it around the tip of the pliers. Just like that. Now we're going to curve it in a little bit more with the vice grips. Now if you get a pair of vice grips, make sure it's got that right there on the inside of the jaw, there's a little cutter, which also acts as a great crimping tool. That I use a lot for these little metal pieces. And see how I pinched it and rounded it out a little bit? Now we'll move on to the smaller piece. This one obviously bends a little easier. And we'll pinch that again. Don't really know if that helped. Whatever. Okay, next you're going to need some sort of fence wire. This is pretty tough stuff. It doesn't bend super easy. It's probably about as strong as a coat hanger. Now we're going to cut off 6-inch pieces of this. And we're going to need 8 of them. What we're doing with these is we're going to make the rings for our fingers. And this stuff's pretty nasty stuff. It's pretty dirty. Like a lot of carbon or something on it. Alright, we got 4. Next thing, I got a dowel here. It is 7/8 of an inch, which is perfect for me. I've got average size fingers. And you just want to go around the dowel, make a little loop, just like that. Now we're going to grab the needle nose pliers. And then as soon as that, right where that wire comes out is where we're going to start bending. See that? And then use the thickness of your pliers to just go in like this and bend the other one. It'll create a gap, which is fine. We're going to fix that up. Now, I don't like those rounded edges like that. I like to make my edges nice and sharp, or the corners. So I put that wire in the flat and then squeeze it tight. It helps really square out those edges. You have to play around with it a lot, you know, to get the piece just right, which I enjoy. That's it for the first one, I think. Yep, now we're going to move on to another one. Alright, we got 4 done. Great. Now grab your sheet. We're going to use this as a reference. Just kind of lay it over the sheet. And we're going to clip these. I'm going to clip them right where they should be clipped on the sheet. Alright, see that? And no sense in using a sheet anymore. You could just use the first one that you clipped and use that as a guide. Yeah, there's some other wire that you could use, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's galvanized, and it's a little more malleable than this, and I would just imagine that losing its form. Anyway, take an aluminum can and cut it up. Cut out as much of the sort of flat area as possible, and then get one of your finger segments, like you're seeing here, and we're going to draw a bunch of lines on there. Now these are going to be the caps for the fingers. This is going to keep the cable from pushing out when we straighten the fingers out. So yeah, this is just an aluminum can. So I cut the top and bottom off and then straightened it out. And that's it for that. See you in the next one.